Hi you, how are you? It's been ages since I've read your story. I'm so sorry. I've been meaning to for ages. But I don't know, time's just run away. I don't know about you. Have you been keeping busy? Anyway, I found one today that hopefully you'll like. I don't think we've read it before. But I think it's quite a good story. This is what it's called. Can you see? The Jolly Witch. Doesn't she look lovely with her rosy cheeks and a big smile? I always try and have a big smile if I can. And my rosy cheeks are quite squidgy too. So let's see what she gets up to. Wonder why she's called the Jolly Witch. Let's see. Mrs. Jolly was the school caretaker. She had a short nose and two comfy round chins. Uh-oh, look, Granny Sarah's got two chins too. Curly brown hair, going grey. Well, I'm certainly going grey. But Mrs. Jolly had a ginger cat, whereas me and Grandad, we've got a black cat, which is more typical to a witch, really, isn't it? But she's got a ginger one. Mrs. Jolly was friendly, nice and cuddly. There we are, look, there she is. Can you see her? Oh, look at the lovely log fire she's got going. Must be winter instead of this warm sunshine we're getting. Anyway, there was something the headmistress didn't know. Or the other teachers. They didn't know either, nor the children. In the autumn term, when Mrs. Jolly swept the playground clear of leaves with her broomstick, even then nobody guessed that she was a witch. Well, we knew because Granny Sarah gave it away in the title. Maybe I should have kept that quiet to see if you could have guessed. Anyway, she's a witch and we knew she was. At the end of school, each day, when everyone had gone home, Mrs. Jolly, the caretaker, became Mrs. Jolly the Witch. This was the time when she used her magic powers. Though she looked just the same, friendly and cuddly, Mrs. Jolly used her powers very sensibly. She made them work for her. To save my legs, she said, Mrs. Jolly had to clean the whole school, all 3 classrooms and the hall. Look, there she is, look, with her lovely ginger cat, and the children are leaving school. And she's emptying the bins and starting to clean up after everybody. And then she gets her broom out, look, to start tidying up. Wonder what she's going to do to help save her legs with the tidying up. I think I can guess, can you? She took the vacuum cleaner, her dustpan and brush and her dusters into a classroom and set them all down. Then she sat herself comfortably in the teacher's chair, sipped a cup of tea and said, "Rise and shine." Then up flew the dusters to polish the tables, and up jumped the dustpan and the brush to pick up all the paper the children had dropped during the day. The vacuum cleaner uncoiled its flex like a snake, plugged itself in and whisked off across the carpet. Oh, wouldn't it be great if we could do that? Look, she sat having a cuppa, giving her orders, saying, "Rise and shine." And it all starts to happen, look. Can you see? Hang on, let me try and get the picture so you can see it. There we go. Hoover's plugged in, the dustpan's sweeping up all the bits of paper off the desks, and the dusters are working. Wow-wee. Oh, if only Grandad and I could have a magic spell that did that with our things. Mrs. Jolly used her electric floor polisher in the hall. It plugged itself in and polished the floor until it shone. And it goes without saying that when all the rooms had been cleaned, the curtains drew themselves and all the lights switched themselves off. Look! How fantastic is that? I know sometimes people can say, Alexa, turn off the lights. And that's pretty magic, don't you think? My Alexa doesn't do that though, but I know some people's does. The only work Mrs. Jolly did herself was in the autumn, when she swept the playground clear of leaves. Out there in the open, there was a risk that people in the village might catch sight of a large broomstick sweeping up the leaves all by itself. Yeah, so that would be a bit of a giveaway. She couldn't do that, could she? Look. Oh, I love a big broomstick, don't you? She really is jolly, isn't she? Look at her lovely big smile. A cat's cute too. So, but you know what? I thought witches were horrible, but she's clearly not, is she? But of course, Mrs. Jolly's broomstick wasn't only used for sweeping up the leaves. Here we go. Maybe this is the bit where she's going to be really witchy. Once a year, on a very special night, after the children had gone home, carrying the paintings and the costumes they'd made, none of them knew that on that particular night, as they lay in bed, Mrs. Jolly would be soaring high above them. For on that special autumn night, when the church clock struck midnight, all the witches from around took part in a great broomstick race. Wow! At the first stroke of midnight, they all gathered high above the steeple of the village church and flew off towards the next village. Wow, look! There's Mrs. Jolly. Off she goes, high above our house, going over the field. And there's the other witches over the church, look. Oh, you see, they do look like witches, don't they? But Mrs. Jolly looks really kind. She hasn't got a dark witch's hat on. Oh, I do hope she wins, don't you? Let's see. From the steeple to steeple and round in a big circle they flew in the great witch's steeplechase, until at last they came back to where they'd started. And the winner of the race was awarded the title of Witch of the Year. Look, there we go. Can you see? Off she goes. But look, can you see the other witches? They're way ahead of her. They're right next in the next village near the church. Can you see? Oh dear, I feel sorry for Mrs. Jolly. They're miles ahead of her. Oh well, never mind. It's taking part in these things, isn't it? It's not always about winning. But let's see what happens. Which witch won? Oh, that's hard to say. You have a go at saying that. Which witch won? That's funny. That made me smile. But actually, it was the cat saying it, so I ought to try and do it in a cat voice, don't you think? Oh, this is where I need your help. I'm not very good at voices, am I? Meow. Which one? Asked Ginger Cat, as usual when Mrs. Jolly arrived home, puffing and blowing in the early hours of the next morning. Not me, said Mrs. Jolly. Smiling as usual, though, so she obviously wasn't too disappointed. I shall never win, I'm afraid. Every year, Mrs. Jolly went in for this race, and every year she finished in the same place. You know where? Last. For Mrs. Jolly was not lean and lanky like the other witches. Mrs. Jolly was a weighty witch, so she's a bit chunky like me. And her broomstick was a big and heavy one. Oh, no wonder she was slower than everyone else. If they're all skinny, they can go really fast, can't they? Oh, poor Mrs. Jolly. Wonder if she likes cake and chocolate like me. Probably. Bless her. I should dearly love to win next year, sighed Mrs. Jolly as she got into bed. Why next year especially? Asked the Ginger Cat. Meow. Because next year, Mrs. Jolly said, I'm retiring. It'll be my last race. Why? Meow, asked the Ginger Cat. You won't be a caretaker, but you'll still be a witch. Meow. Yes, I know, said Mrs. Jolly, but I won't have a broomstick when I retire. It's school property. Oh, well, we could try and buy one from somewhere, couldn't we? Next year soon came, and the winter went. The spring and the summer flashed by, and it was once again the autumn term at school. The Ginger Cat sat in the playground watching Mrs. Jolly, and he looked thoughtful, as cats do. Look, I didn't show you that picture, did I? I'm sorry. Look, so there she is, thinking, oh, how wonderful it would be to win next year, and talking to her lovely Ginger Cat. And then all the seasons fly on by, and it's autumn again, look, and she's sweeping up the leaves with a wonderful broomstick. She looks a bit sad on there, doesn't she? Oh no, she's still got a little bit of a smile, but I think she's just desperate to win this race. Anyway, after school, when all the children had gone home, Mrs. Jolly set the vacuum cleaner to work while she had a cup of tea. Cleans better than a broomstick, doesn't it? Said Ginger Cat thoughtfully. Oh, you see, I needed my cat voice there and I didn't do it. Meow, I'll do that afterwards so you know. Goodness, yes, said Mrs. Jolly. You need a modern machine for cleaning nowadays. You need a modern machine for racing nowadays, said the Ginger Cat. Meow. Ooh, do you know what he's thinking? I think I do you? I wonder if it's possible. Anyway, look, there they are, cleaning away. She's enjoying her cup of tea. I wonder if she said rise and shine to do the magic trick again. I bet she did. Mrs. Jolly sat up sharply, spilling her tea. Me ride a vacuum cleaner in the great witch's steeplechase? But how would it work without it being plugged in? Put a spell on it, said the Ginger Cat. Meow, make it go. Meow. But it sucks things in, said Mrs. Jolly. Put another spell on it, said the cat. Make it blow. Look, what do you reckon? Do you think she can? Look, she's imagining how she could get up into the sky on the Hoover. Wow, wouldn't that be amazing if she can do a spell to make it blow instead of suck it in? Mrs. Jolly put down her cup and saucer and got up. She switched off the machine and unplugged it. The vacuum cleaner stood silent in the middle of the classroom floor. Hi-de-hi, ho-de-ho, don't stop, do go, said Mrs. Jolly, and off it went again. Hi-de-hi, ho-de-ho, don't suck, do blow. And the machine blew dust all over the classroom. Look, oh my goodness, dust everywhere, but look, it's blowing instead of sucking. As midnight drew near, on the night of the steeplechase, only the Ginger Cat saw the school caretaker come out of her front door carrying a vacuum cleaner. Oh, my word, I wonder if she's going to manage to do it. I wonder if she's had a practice. I hope she doesn't fall off. Blimey. Ready? Can you remember the spell? Hi-de-hi, ho-de-ho, don't stop, do go, said Mrs. Jolly. Carefully, Arranging herself astride the modern steed, the machine gave out a low, throbbing roar. Hidey-hi, ho-de-ho, don't suck, do blow, commanded Mrs. Jolly. And with a powerful backward blast, like that, they jetted up into the midnight sky as the first stroke of midnight rang out from the church steeple. Look! Whee! Look, she's going that fast she needs goggles on so she doesn't get dust in her eye. Looks fantastic. By the time Mrs. Jolly had reached the church, the black cloud of witches that had been jockeying for position at the start were already far away, gliding silently through the darkness. Look. Can you see? Look, she's at the church already. And look, the other witches are right back here, look. Fantastic. Setting both chins firmly, so that means she's like determined, Mrs. Jolly sped off. Oh, I've read it wrong. I always do this, don't I? I thought the witches were behind her. But actually, she's late getting up in the air, and it says they're ahead of her. Look, let's have another look at the picture. So, yeah, they're nearly at the next church in the next village, and she's only just starting off. Oh, silly Granny Sarah, I read it wrong. I thought she'd got a head start, but she hadn't. She's miles behind. Oh, no, she's got no chance of winning now. But this is when I realised, because it said, setting both chins firmly. So I think that means she's determined to do well. Like this. Oh, she's going to do it. Mrs. Jolly sped off after them. By the second church steeple, she'd actually caught them up. Well, she'd caught up with the slowest witch. And by the third, she'd passed all but the fastest. And by the fourth, so there's obviously lots of churches that they have to go round then, in like a big circle. Oh, I didn't realise that. I thought it was just one church and back, didn't you? So yeah, by the fourth church steeple, she'd swept by the leaders. Look, can you see? There's the slowest one at the top that she's caught up with. Then she's catching up with the faster ones. And then she's overtaken the leaders. Fantastic. I didn't realise I read that wrong. Isn't that great news? I was feeling a bit sad for a minute when thinking that she's never going to do it. Oh, I hope she can keep her lead, don't you? I hope she can stay at number one. Now, she powered away in front, increasing her lead from steeple to steeple. She could no longer hear the horrid cries of anger from the witches behind. What's she doing? She's cheating. She's way ahead. Not another witch was in sight when, in record time, she arrived at the finish. First! She made it! She won! She was first! Mrs. Jolly arrived home early, not a bit out of breath, and with not a curl out of place on her beautiful curly hair. Which win? Oh, you see, I can't say it. Can you remember what we've got to say? When the cat asks, which won? Which won? That sounds so funny. You have a go at saying it. It's ever so hard. Which won? Asked the ginger cat as usual. Meow. I did, exclaimed Mrs. Jolly. Left 'em standing. You should have heard them cursing. Cheat! They shouted. The ginger cat looked thoughtful. I suppose it was a bit unfair, he said. Meow. Mrs. Jolly stroked him fondly. It was, she agreed. And after the race, 13 witches held an extraordinary general meeting and disqualified me. Oh dear. So you're not Witch of the Year after all then? Said the Ginger Cat. No, said Mrs. Jolly, but I was first past the steeple and that's good enough for me. Thanks to you, I can retire happy. Oh. At the end of term, the whole school assembled in the hall. The teachers and the children had bought Mrs. Jolly a leaving present, and the headmistress made a nice speech. How we will miss you, Mrs. Jolly, she said. You have worked so hard all these years, dusting and sweeping and polishing. Each morning, everything in the school was always spotless. All the mess the day before had gone just like magic. But we know it was magic. Look, there they are, look. They're all in the class. And then she's given us some thank you presents for all her hard work over the years. Mrs. Jolly just smiled. It was a jolly smile. She knew. We know. I like that. I'm glad she Anyway, that's one story. Look, I've got my hat. And look, I've got my Hoover. So I'm going to try and say, hi-de-hi, ho-de-ho, don't suck, just go. And I'm going to see if it'll bring me over to your house, because I'm desperate to see you. Here we go. I'm going to give it a go now. Hopefully, I'll be knocking on your door in about 10 minutes. Oh, fingers crossed it works. All right. Right, let me put it down and I can say goodbye. Bye. Love you. Hopefully see you very soon.